The galaxy was quiet after the long war between humans and the alien race called the Zareen. Millions had died on both sides. Cities had turned to dust. Finally, the leaders agreed to peace, but under one strange rule. To seal that peace, a human and a Zareen royal would have to marry each other. That is how Ethan Cole, a 29-year-old engineer from Earth, ended up standing on a glowing silver platform inside an alien ship, waiting for his future wife, someone he had never seen. He looked at his reflection in the glass wall. His brown hair was messy, his uniform slightly wrinkled. A marriage for peace, he whispered to himself. They said it's an honor. Feels more like a prison. The alien guard beside him didn't respond. The guard's armor shone with blue light. He finally spoke in a deep metallic voice. You are to show full respect when she arrives. Lady Sarathia is older, wiser, and far above your kind. Ethan frowned. Older? How old? The guard's silver eyes blinked. 33 years older than you. She was born before your world even reached the stars. Ethan's mouth went dry. Great, he muttered. A queen old enough to be my mother. The guard's voice turned colder. Mind your words, human. You are lucky to be chosen. A loud sound echoed through the hall. The great doors opened and a wave of soft blue light filled the room. Ethan turned up and there she was. Lady Sarathia walked slowly into the chamber. Her presence was powerful, almost frightening. Her skin was pale blue, marked with faint glowing lines that moved like rivers of light. Her long white hair floated slightly, as if touched by invisible wind. Her silver gown shimmered with thousands of tiny stars. But it wasn't her beauty that stunned Ethan. It was her eyes. They glowed bright silver, calm and deep, filled with secrets older than humanity itself. She stopped in front of him, her gaze scanning him from head to toe. So, she said softly, her voice clear and smooth. You are the human chosen to be my husband. Ethan stood straight. Yes, my lady, but I didn't exactly volunteer. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Neither did I. The wedding ritual began. 2 alien priests entered the room, carrying glowing crystal bands. They placed one on Ethan's wrist and another on Sarathia's. A beam of light connected the 2 bands, forming a bright chain between them. Bond accepted, the priest announced. Marriage between human and Zareen confirmed. Peace sealed. Applause filled the hall, but Ethan couldn't smile. He looked at Sarathia again. Her face was unreadable, almost cold. When the ceremony ended, she turned and said, Follow me. You need to understand why this union truly matters. Ethan followed her through long corridors of silver and glass. The walls glowed softly, showing stars and planets outside. It was beautiful and lonely. Finally, they reached a large chamber filled with glowing orbs and floating crystals. Sarathia stopped in front of a tall window that showed the galaxy in all its colors. Tell me, Ethan Cole, she said, do you believe peace can exist between our kinds? He hesitated. I don't know. My father died fighting your people. My mother told me never to trust aliens. Her eyes darkened. My daughter died fighting your kind. Do you see how similar we are? Ethan looked at her, surprised. You have a daughter? Sarathia nodded slowly. Had. She was taken during the war. They said her ship was destroyed, but no body was ever found. A faint sadness filled her voice, but she quickly hid it. She walked to a glowing table and pressed her hand on its surface. A hologram appeared, an image of a young Zareen girl with bright silver eyes and a soft smile. This was her, Sarathia said quietly. Ethan stared at the image. Something about the girl's eyes made him shiver. I'm sorry, he said softly. Sarathia turned to him. You were born the same year she vanished. Strange, isn't it? Ethan frowned. That's just a coincidence. Maybe, she said, but her voice sounded unsure. Or maybe fate is reminding me of something. Before Ethan could speak, a deep alarm echoed through the ship. Red lights flashed across the walls. Sarathia's calm expression vanished. We are under attack, she said sharply. Attack by who? Ethan asked. She closed her eyes for a moment, listening. Not pirates. Something worse. Something that does not want our marriage to exist. Ethan's heart pounded. Why? It's just politics. Sarathia opened her eyes. You don't understand. This marriage joins more than nations, it joins ancient powers. And some would rather destroy us than let that happen. The floor shook. Outside the window, small dark ships flew toward them, firing beams of red energy. The alien guards rushed through the hall, shouting commands. Ethan turned to Sarathia. What do we do? She looked at him with a strange calm. You will come with me. There is a secret you must see before they reach us. She grabbed his wrist, the glowing band connecting them flickering with energy. Ethan felt a strange warmth spreading through his skin, like the band was alive. He looked at her. What's happening? Sarathia's silver eyes locked onto his. The truth, she said softly, is beginning to wake. They ran through a narrow passage as the ship trembled from explosions outside. Alarms screamed, lights flickered, and smoke filled the air. Ethan shouted, Where are we going? To the heart of the ship, Sarathia replied. To where my daughter's memory still lives. He didn't understand, but he followed her anyway. The air around them shimmered with strange light. For the first time since the ceremony began, Ethan felt something more than fear, something pulling him toward the alien queen. And in her eyes, for just a second, he saw something that made his heart freeze. Not anger, not sorrow, but recognition, as if she had seen his face long before this day. The alarms still echoed through the ship. Red lights flashed on every wall. Ethan followed Lady Sarathia as the floor shook under his feet. He could feel his heartbeat racing, matching the sound of explosions outside. Where are we going? He shouted. Sarathia didn't look back. To the memory chamber, she said. We don't have much time. The corridor curved down into a darker level of the ship. The air was colder here, filled with a strange hum that made Ethan's skin tingle. The light on their wristbands glowed brighter the deeper they went. Finally, they reached a tall metal door. Sarathia placed her palm on a scanner and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a wide circular room, filled with floating crystals, each one glowing with blue light. The air shimmered like water. In the center stood a large crystal pod, the same one Ethan had seen earlier in her private chamber. Showed the image of the young alien girl again, her daughter. Sarathia walked up to the pod and touched it gently. This chamber holds the memories of my people, she said softly. Every Zareen stores their life here when they die. But my daughter's crystal is different. Ethan stepped closer. The crystal pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. How? He asked. Sarathia turned to him. Because she never truly died, Ethan froze. What do you mean? She vanished 33 years ago, Sarathia said. No remains, no signal, nothing. But the energy around her ship, it was strange, unstable. That same energy surrounds you, Ethan Cole. He frowned, confused. That doesn't make sense. I was born on Earth, I'm human. Her silver eyes narrowed. Are you sure? Ethan felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. Of course I'm sure. Sarathia pressed a few symbols on the glowing panel beside the crystal pod. The air in the room rippled and suddenly the crystal released a wave of light. Images began to appear, fragments of memory. Ethan saw flashes of a young girl running through an alien city. A huge explosion, fire, screams, then a blinding white light, and then Earth, a baby crying in a hospital. A human woman holding him. Ethan's eyes widened. That's... Hey. Sarathia turned slowly toward him. Her voice was calm but trembling. I thought so. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, that's impossible. You're saying my daughter's life energy was reborn into you. Sarathia said quietly. Not her body, but her essence. Her soul. Ethan's hands trembled. You're saying I'm your daughter? Her gaze softened. Not exactly. You're human, but part of her energy lives in you. That is why the band reacted when we were bonded. It recognized my bloodline in you. He stared at her in disbelief. That's insane. You're talking about reincarnation. Sarathia didn't deny it. The Zareen believe energy never dies. It changes, it moves, it returns in new forms. You may not believe it, Ethan, but the proof is inside you. Before Ethan could answer, the ship shook violently. A blast ripped through the upper wall, sending shards of metal flying. Sarathia grabbed his arm and pulled him to the floor. They've breached the hull! Through the smoke, dark figures entered. Alien soldiers wearing black armor, their faces hidden behind glass helmets. They carried weapons that glowed red. Targets found, one of them said in a robotic voice. Ethan ducked behind a broken console. Who are they? Sarathia's voice was low and angry. Rebels, they want to destroy this alliance. They believe humans are beneath us. The rebels opened fire. Beams of red light tore across the room. Sarathia lifted her hand, forming a glowing energy shield around them. The light from her wristband grew stronger, connecting with Ethan's band. Suddenly, a surge of power shot through his arm. He gasped, "What's happening to me?" "Do not fight it," Sarathia shouted. "The bond is awakening." Energy burst from the bands, forming a shield that expanded outward, throwing the attackers across the room. The crystals flickered wildly, reacting to the strange force. When the light faded, the rebels were gone, either unconscious or retreating. Smoke filled the air. Ethan looked at his hands. They were glowing faintly with blue light. He whispered, "What did I just do?" Sarathia stood beside him, breathing hard but calm. "You used my energy," she said softly. "No, our energy." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "I don't understand any of this. I'm just a human engineer." Sarathia looked at him, her eyes full of something between fear and awe. "You are more than that, Ethan. You carry power you do not yet see. And someone out there knows it." A new alarm echoed through the ship. A voice spoke over the intercom. "Warning. Unknown vessel approaching. Energy level critical." Sarathia turned toward the door. "They're not done yet," she said. "And this time they're bringing something far stronger." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then we need to get out of here." She nodded slowly. "Yes, but before we leave, there's something you must know." She placed her hand on his chest over his heart. The light from her wristband glowed brighter, connecting to his. "You are not just my husband by law," she said quietly. "You are the key to what my daughter left behind." Ethan stared at her, confused and shaken. "What did she leave behind?" Sarathia's voice dropped to a whisper. "A weapon. One that could destroy both our worlds. Or save them." The ship trembled again. The red lights grew brighter and the walls around them began to hum with strange energy. Ethan could feel it. A vibration deep inside his bones, like the ship itself was alive and angry. He looked at Lady Sarathia, still glowing faintly with blue light from her wristband. "You said there's a weapon," he said, his voice shaking. "What kind of weapon?" Sarathia turned to him. Her silver eyes reflected the chaos around them. "A weapon that was never meant to exist," she said softly. "It was built using my daughter's energy. The same energy that now lives inside you." Ethan froze. "So that's why the rebels are after us?" "Because of me?" She nodded slowly. "They believe if they capture you, they can use your power to activate the weapon. And if that happens, there will be no more peace, only destruction." Before Ethan could reply, a loud explosion rocked the chamber. The ceiling cracked and pieces of metal fell around them. Sarathia grabbed his arm. "We must leave now." They ran through the narrow corridors of the ship. Smoke filled the air and alarms screamed from every direction. The floor tilted as the ship began to lose balance. "Where are we going?" Ethan shouted. "To the escape hangar!" Sarathia yelled back. "If the ship falls, we will die with it." They turned a corner and stopped. Standing in their path were 3 alien rebels in black armor. Their leader, a tall one with glowing red eyes, raised his weapon. "End of the line, Queen," he said in a cold voice. "The Council won't save you this time." Sarathia's eyes narrowed. "You were one of my guards," she said. "You swore to protect the Empire." The rebel smiled darkly. "The Empire is dead. You killed it when you married a human." He fired his weapon. Ethan pushed Sarathia aside just in time. The red beam hit the wall, leaving a burning mark. Without thinking, Ethan raised his hand and blue energy exploded from his palm. The rebels were thrown back as if struck by lightning. When the light faded, Ethan stared at his hand in shock. I didn't mean to do that." Sarathia looked at him with both fear and admiration. "You are awakening faster than I expected." The ship shook again. Fire burst through the corridor behind them. "Run!" Sarathia shouted. They sprinted toward the hangar. When they entered, Ethan saw a small silver craft waiting, sleek and glowing with blue engines. Sarathia pressed her hand on the control panel and the doors began to open, showing the blackness of space. As they boarded, the rebel leader appeared again, injured but still alive. "You can't run forever," he yelled. "The prophecy will find you." Ethan frowned, confused. "Prophecy?" But before he could ask, Sarathia activated the engines. The ship blasted out of the hangar just as the main vessel exploded behind them. Through the window, Ethan saw the massive Zareen warship break apart into burning pieces. His chest tightened. "All those people?" Sarathia's voice was calm but sad. "They chose their fate. We must focus on ours." Hours passed in silence. The stars outside glowed softly as the smaller ship drifted through the darkness. Ethan sat quietly, trying to process everything. "So," he said finally, "there's a prophecy now? What is it about?" Sarathia looked at the stars for a moment before speaking. "The old writings of my people speak of a time when the energy of two worlds, alien and human, would join inside one being. That being would either destroy both worlds or save them." Ethan felt his stomach twist. "And you think that's me?" "I don't think," she said. "I know," he laughed nervously. "I'm just a human engineer. I don't even know how to fix a toaster without breaking it. How can I be some kind of chosen one?" Sarathia smiled faintly. "Power doesn't ask for permission, Ethan. It finds you when it must." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "So what now? Everyone's after us, your ship's gone, and apparently I'm half alien." She turned to him, serious again. "We go to Virel Nime, an ancient world hidden from most star maps. It's where the weapon was created. It's also where we'll find the answers." Ethan looked at her. "And what if we don't?" Sarathia's eyes glowed faintly. "Then the universe will burn." As they approached the distant stars, the ship's console began to flash. A holographic message appeared, a signal from deep space. The voice that came through was cold and mechanical. "Ethan Cole, the child of two energies. You cannot hide. The weapon belongs to us." Ethan's blood ran cold. "Who is that?" Sarathia's face darkened. "The Shadow Order," she said. "Ancient enemies of the Zareen. They've been waiting for this moment for centuries." The ship shuddered as a new fleet appeared on the radar. Dozens of dark ships emerging from hyperspace. Ethan's eyes widened. "We're surrounded." Sarathia placed her hand on his shoulder. "Then we fight. But remember, Ethan, the power inside you is not only mine, it is also yours. Trust it or it will consume you." He looked at her, fear and determination mixing inside him. "What if I can't control it?" She held his gaze. "Then I will help you, even if it destroys me." Outside, the enemy ships began to close in. Energy beams flashed across the void, lighting up the dark sky. Inside, Ethan felt the band on his wrist pulsing again, stronger this time, like something inside him was waking up, calling his name. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he whispered to himself. "If I'm really the key to this, then let's find out what I can do." Sarathia's voice echoed softly beside him. "The weapon of two worlds is not made of metal or fire, Ethan. It's made of you." And with that, their small ship dove into the storm of light and fire, straight toward destiny. Space burned with light. Red beams crossed the black sky as Sarathia's small ship spun between enemy fire. Ethan held onto the seat, heart pounding, while alarm screamed in every direction. "Hold on!" Sarathia shouted. Her hands moved across glowing controls faster than he could follow. A blast hit their left wing. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Ethan yelled, "We can't take another hit!" Sarathia's eyes glowed brighter. "We're not going to. I'll get us out." She pressed a crystal on the panel. The engines roared and the ship dove straight into a thick blue nebula. The energy storm outside swallowed them whole. For a few long seconds, everything went silent except for the sound of static and Ethan's heavy breathing. "Did we lose them?" he asked. Sarathia's expression stayed tense. "For now. But the Shadow Order never gives up. They always find what they want." Ethan frowned. "Who are they really?" "You said they've existed for centuries." She looked out at the swirling light beyond the window. "The Shadow Order began as a secret part of the Zareen Empire," she said. "Long ago they searched for eternal power. My ancestors tried to stop them, but they went too far. They learned to feed on the life energy of others." Ethan's stomach turned. "Feed like steal it?" "Yes," Sarathia said quietly. "They take energy from living beings, from souls. That is how they survive for so long. They believe your power, Ethan, will make them unstoppable." He sat back, trying to breathe. "So they're coming after me because I have your daughter's energy?" "Not just hers," Sarathia said. "You are something new. You are human and Zareen energy combined. To them, you are the key to controlling both species." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted a normal life." Sarathia turned to him, her face softening. "No one asks for destiny. It comes whether we are ready or not." Hours later, the storm cleared. They entered calm space, dark and silent. Ahead, a small green planet floated in the distance, glowing faintly. "Virel Nime," Sarathia said. "The world of silence. No transmissions can enter or leave it. It's the only place we can hide." The ship descended through layers of mist. The planet below looked peaceful, covered with blue forests, glowing rivers, and crystal mountains. When they landed, Ethan stepped out and felt the soft ground under his boots. The air smelled clean and fresh, unlike the metallic air of space stations. "This place is beautiful," he said. Sarathia nodded. "It was once a holy planet for my people. The first weapon was made here." Ethan frowned. "This weapon? You said it was made from your daughter's energy. But why would anyone do that?" She hesitated, her eyes darkening. "Because I allowed it." Ethan stared at her. "You what?" She looked away. "During the war, our enemies grew stronger every day. I was desperate to protect my people. The scientists told me they could turn her energy into a force that could end the war forever. I agreed." Her voice trembled slightly. "But the power was too strong. It destroyed everything, and my daughter with it." Ethan stepped closer, his anger fading. "You were trying to save your world." Sarathia nodded slowly. "Yes, but in saving one world, I may have doomed another." Before he could answer, the air around them flickered. A dark shadow passed overhead. Sarathia looked up. Her eyes widened. "They found us." A massive black ship appeared in the sky, larger than any he'd ever seen. It hung above the forest like a monster, silent but deadly. "How did they find us?" "You said this planet was hidden," Ethan shouted. "They must have tracked your energy," Sarathia said grimly. "Your power is too strong to hide now." Beams of red light shot down from the sky, burning the ground. Ethan grabbed Sarathia's hand. "We have to move." They ran through the glowing forest as explosions thundered behind them. The ground shook. Trees of crystal shattered like glass. "Where are we going?" Ethan asked. "There's an ancient temple near the mountains," she said. "It holds the weapon, and maybe a way to stop the order." They reached a cliff. Far below the temple stood a massive structure carved into stone, surrounded by glowing symbols. "How do we get down there?" Ethan asked. Sarathia's eyes glowed. "We jump." Before he could protest, she pulled him close and leapt from the cliff. Blue light burst from her hands, slowing their fall until they landed softly near the temple entrance. Ethan could barely breathe. "Next time, maybe use stairs." Sarathia smiled faintly. "You're still alive. Be grateful." They entered the temple. Inside, the walls glowed with alien runes. In the center stood a massive crystal sphere pulsing with light. Ethan felt his wristband heat up instantly. Sarathia approached the sphere slowly. "This is it," she whispered. "The heart of Virel, the source of the weapon." Ethan could feel the air around him vibrating. His skin tingled. "It's reacting to me," he said. "Yes," she replied. "Because it knows who you are." A deep voice echoed through the temple. "And it knows who we are." Ethan spun around. The rebel leader stood at the door, surrounded by soldiers of the Shadow Order. His red eyes glowed brighter than before. "You led us right to it," the rebel said with a cruel smile. "Thank you, Queen Sarathia. And thank you, human child of light." Ethan stepped back, heart pounding. "How did you—" The rebel raised his weapon. "The prophecy ends tonight." Sarathia's voice was calm but cold. "No, it begins tonight." Blue fire erupted from her hands as the temple filled with light, ready for battle. The temple shook as blue and red lights clashed against its stone walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ethan stood frozen, his heart pounding, as Lady Sarathia raised her hands. Bright blue fire burst from her palms and formed a shield in front of them. The rebel leader of the Shadow Order laughed. His voice echoed through the chamber. "You can't protect him forever, Queen. The heart belongs to us." Sarathia's eyes glowed. "You were once my soldier, Terran. You swore to defend our world, not destroy it." Terran stepped forward. His armor hissed with red energy. "Your world died the day you mixed its blood with human flesh. That creature beside you should never have existed." Ethan felt anger rising inside him. "I'm not your enemy," he shouted. "I didn't choose this." Terran raised his weapon. "No, but you will end it." Before he could fire, Sarathia hurled a wave of energy. The red beam collided with her blue light, exploding into a storm of color. The shockwave threw Ethan backward. He hit the ground hard but quickly got up. The heart of Virel, the massive crystal sphere, pulsed brighter, reacting to the fight. It began to hum, a deep sound that shook the entire temple. Sarathia shouted, "Ethan! The heart is waking! You must stop it before it tears this place apart." Ethan stared at her, confused. "How?" "I don't even know what to do." "Listen to it," she said. It carries your energy. It knows you. He took a shaky step toward the glowing sphere. Every pulse of light felt like it was calling his name. His wristband burned with heat. Blue sparks crawled up his arm. Behind him, Sarathia and Terran continued to fight. The floor cracked beneath their feet. Ethan reached out and touched the heart. Instantly, light flooded his mind. He saw flashes. Sarathia's daughter laughing beside a river, the same explosion that destroyed her ship, and a blinding white energy connecting everything. Then he saw himself, born on Earth, growing up human but with a light hidden inside. The voice of the heart echoed in his head. Child of two worlds. The balance depends on you. Choose peace or choose power, Ethan gasped. I don't want power. I just want to stop the killing. The heart's glow softened. The energy flowing through him calmed, becoming steady instead of wild. Then he heard Sarathia scream. He turned. She was on the ground, her shield broken. Terran stood above her, blade glowing red. Goodbye, my queen, he said. Ethan didn't think. He ran forward and raised his hands. A beam of blue energy exploded from his body, striking Terran and throwing him across the room. The impact shattered the enemy's armor. Everyone in the temple stopped moving. Ethan stood there, surrounded by blue fire, his eyes glowing silver like Sarathia's. The energy from the heart swirled around him. Terran coughed, his eyes wide with fear. Impossible. No one can control the heart. Ethan's voice was calm but powerful. Maybe not alone, but I'm not alone. He looked at Sarathia, who struggled to her feet. The glow from her wristband connected to his again, forming a bridge of light. Together, they raised their hands. The blue energy turned white, brighter than any star. The Shadow Order soldiers screamed as the light spread through the room, disarming their weapons and freezing them in place. When the light faded, Terran fell to his knees, his armor cracked. His weapon gone, Sarathia walked slowly toward him. You could have stood beside me, she said quietly. But you chose darkness. Terran looked up at her, his red eyes dimming. Darkness always wins. Sarathia shook her head. Not today. With a soft motion of her hand, she sent him into unconsciousness. The battle was over. The temple grew silent again. The heart glowed softly, calm and steady now. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted. I can't believe we're still alive. Sarathia helped him up. You did what no one else could, Ethan. You controlled the heart. Even my daughter never managed that. He looked at her, still breathing hard. It wasn't me. It was us. A faint smile touched her lips. Perhaps destiny made the right choice after all. But before they could rest, the heart suddenly flickered. The soft blue light turned dark. Cracks began to spread across the crystal surface. Ethan stepped back. What's happening now? Sarathia's face turned pale. The heart's energy is unstable. The battle woke something deeper. The temple floor rumbled again. Fissures opened, glowing red from beneath. Run, she shouted. They sprinted toward the exit as the ground collapsed behind them. Giant shards of crystal rained down. Ethan glanced back. The heart exploded in a burst of light that reached the clouds. The blast threw them into the forest. They hit the ground hard, covered in dirt and glowing dust. When Ethan opened his eyes, everything was quiet. The sky above was red and filled with strange swirling lights. Sarathia sat beside him, injured but alive. She looked up at the glowing sky and whispered, "The heart has released something. Something ancient," Ethan groaned, sitting up. What did it release? Her silver eyes reflected the storm above. The true source of Zareen power, and our greatest curse. He stared at her, fear returning to his voice. You mean there's something worse than the Shadow Order? Sarathia nodded slowly. Yes, and now it's awake. She turned to him, her expression heavy but determined. Ethan, what happened today changed the balance of the universe. The heart of Viral didn't just react to you, it chose you. Ethan swallowed hard. Then what does it want from me? Sarathia's answer was almost a whisper. To finish what it started 33 years ago. The red storm filled the sky for hours. Strange lights twisted above the forest, moving like living things. The air felt heavy, full of static energy. Ethan stood beside Sarathia on a rocky hill, watching the sky change color from red to violet, then back to black. His clothes were torn, his face covered in dust, but his mind was still racing. What did we release? He asked quietly. Sarathia's silver eyes reflected the lights. The first light, she said. The power that created the Zareen when and destroyed their gods. Ethan frowned. That doesn't sound like a good thing. It isn't, she said softly. The first light is pure creation energy. It gives life, but if it loses control, it takes life too. He looked around at the glowing forest. Some trees had started floating above the ground. The rivers were glowing brighter every second. It looks like the planet is alive, Sarathia nodded slowly. Virel 9 was always alive, but now it's awake. They both turned as a deep, distant hum rolled across the land. It wasn't thunder. It sounded like something breathing beneath the surface. Ethan felt his wristband heat up again. The blue light pulsed in rhythm with the hum. Sarathia, I think it's calling me. She stepped closer, eyes serious. Don't answer it. I don't think I have a choice, he said, voice trembling. It's inside my head. He dropped to his knees, gripping his head in pain. Images flashed in his mind. Stars collapsing, ships burning, and a giant creature made of light and shadows rising above a dead world. Sarathia knelt beside him. Ethan, focus on my voice. The vision changed. He saw Sarathia herself, younger, wearing a crown, standing before a massive glowing door. She held her daughter's hand. Behind them, soldiers shouted as the Shadow Order attacked. Sarathia turned and whispered to her child, Forgive me. Then she pushed the girl into the light, the same light he saw in the heart of Virel. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was shaking. I saw it. The moment you lost her. Sarathia froze. You saw her? Yes, you were trying to save her. She looked away, silent for a long moment. The first light took her soul. It used her to seal itself away. That's why it was trapped, until now. Ethan stood slowly. And now it's free again. Because of me. No, Sarathia said firmly. Because of destiny. The first light needs a vessel to survive. It chose you long before you were born. He gave a weak laugh. Lucky me. Before she could respond, a beam of light shot down from the sky and hit the ground nearby. The earth shook. A figure rose from the crater, tall, glowing, with a body made of light and darkness swirling together. Its eyes were bright gold, its voice deep and echoing. Queen Sarathia of the Zareen, it said. And the human who carries my heart. Sarathia raised her weapon, her tone sharp. You are not welcome here. The being tilted its head. You speak as if you can stop me. I am the beginning and the end. I am the light you once worshipped. Ethan stepped forward despite his fear. What do you want from me? The being turned its gaze on him. You carry the spark of my power. Join with me and I will make you whole. Together we can rebuild what your worlds destroyed. Ethan clenched his fists. And if I refuse? The being's golden eyes darkened. Then both worlds will burn. A sudden wind tore across the hill, pushing them back. Sarathia shouted over the noise, Ethan, we must go. They ran toward the forest as lightning ripped across the sky. Behind them, the being rose higher, its light spreading across the land like fire. Trees melted into glowing dust. The rivers turned into streams of energy. Ethan looked back once and saw it stretching its hands toward the stars. He's not just power, he said. He's alive. Sarathia's voice was full of fear and anger. He was a god once, and gods never forget how to destroy. They reached the edge of an old alien ruin, a half-buried structure with strange symbols on its walls. Sarathia quickly scanned the entrance and pressed her hand against it. A door of blue energy opened. Inside, she shouted. They rushed in just as another blast of light hit the ground behind them. The entrance sealed shut. Inside, the air was cool and filled with the soft hum of ancient machines. The walls glowed faintly. Ethan tried to catch his breath. Where are we now? Sarathia looked around. A sanctuary built by the last Zareen priests. If any place can hide us from the first light, it's here. He leaned against a wall, still shaking. Sarathia, if that thing is a god, how do we fight it? She stared at the floor for a moment, then looked up. We don't fight gods, Ethan, we survive them. He gave a tired laugh. That's not very comforting. Sarathia stepped closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. Then listen to this, when you are not alone. The heart of Virel chose you for a reason. You might be the only one who can talk to it, maybe even control it. Ethan looked into her glowing silver eyes and nodded slowly. Then I'll try. For your daughter. For both our worlds. Far above, the sky split open with light. The first light spread its wings of fire, its voice echoing through the atmosphere. The time of humans in Zareen is over. The universe will be born anew. Sarathia and Ethan stood together in the blue-lit sanctuary, staring up through the cracks in the ceiling. For the first time, Sarathia looked afraid. "It's starting," she whispered. The Great Awakening. The ground kept shaking. From the sanctuary walls, blue dust fell like rain. Ethan and Sarathia stood side by side, staring up at the cracks above them. Through them, they could see the sky burning. The first light had spread across the heavens like a living storm. Its wings of fire covered half the planet. Rivers of glowing energy rose into the sky, feeding its power. Ethan whispered, "How do we stop something like that?" Sarathia walked to a control panel on the wall. Her fingers moved fast across the glowing runes. "There might be one way," she said quietly. "But it will cost everything." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned to him. Her eyes were softer than he had ever seen them. When the heart of Varel was created, it had a twin, the soul core. It was designed to absorb the first light if it ever woke again. But it needs a living vessel to activate. Realization hit Ethan instantly. "You mean someone has to sacrifice themselves?" Sarathia nodded slowly. "Yes. The soul core must merge with a living being to trap the light. That being's life force will keep it sealed forever." Ethan looked away. "And you were planning to do it, weren't you?" She didn't answer, but the silence was enough. He stepped closer, shaking his head. "No, I'm not letting you die." Sarathia smiled faintly. "Ethan, I am already dying. My body cannot handle the energy from the battle. But you still have a chance to live." "I don't care about living," he said, voice breaking. "You said the heart chose me. Then maybe it chose me for this." She looked at him with deep sadness. "You don't understand what that means. If you merge with the soul core, you will cease to exist as human. You will become something else, part light, part memory." Ethan met her eyes. "Maybe that's what I was meant to be." Before she could protest, the ground split open with a deafening roar. The ceiling shattered, revealing the sky above. The first light's face appeared through the storm, massive, glowing, and inhuman. "You cannot hide," it thundered. "My heart beats within you, child." Ethan felt pain shoot through his chest as the blue glow from his wrist spread up his arm and across his body. His skin shimmered with light. Sarathia grabbed his shoulders. "Ethan, listen to me. If you give yourself to it completely, there will be no return." He looked at her, eyes full of fear and determination. "Then tell me how to use the soul core." She hesitated, then placed her hands on his face. "Close your eyes. Let the light inside you find the darkness outside. Don't fight it, guide it." He nodded and closed his eyes. The world around him disappeared. He saw only stars, millions of them, and the great being of light spreading across space. He raised his hands. "I don't belong to you," he whispered. "You belong to all of us." The first light roared. "You are nothing." Ethan's body glowed brighter. The energy from his heart connected to Sarathia's, forming a bridge of silver light that reached the sky. The first light screamed as the two energies collided. In the real world, the planet shook violently. Mountains crumbled. Oceans boiled. Sarathia fell to her knees but kept the connection alive. Her voice echoed through the storm. "Ethan, hold on. You are stronger than it." Inside the light, Ethan saw flashes of both worlds, Earth and Zareen, filled with life, laughter, and love. He remembered Sarathia's daughter's smile, his own childhood, and all the faces he would never see again. He whispered softly, "No more death. No more gods." Then he opened his arms and let the light take him. The explosion was silent, only light spreading across the sky in waves. For one long moment, everything on Virelheim stopped moving. The storm vanished. The first light's voice faded into nothing. When the brightness cleared, only Sarathia remained, kneeling on the cracked ground, surrounded by dust and silence. She looked up at the calm blue sky. "Ethan," she whispered. A soft glow appeared in the air in front of her, a small sphere of blue light floating gently. Inside it, she could almost hear his voice. "You kept your promise, Sarathia. Now keep living for both of us." Tears fell down her cheeks. She reached out and touched the light. "I will," she whispered. "I swear it." The sphere slowly drifted upward, rising higher and higher until it disappeared among the stars. Weeks later, the world of Virelheim was quiet again. The forest grew back, the rivers flowed clear, and the remaining Zareen built small homes among the ruins. Sarathia walked alone along a crystal shore, her long white hair flowing in the wind. In her hand she held Ethan's wristband, now dark and cold. She looked up at the sky, where one star glowed brighter than the rest. "You saved us, human," she said softly. "Maybe you were never from one world. You belong to both." The wind carried her words into the night. As the camera fades out, a faint blue,